Blah, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holders podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you wanna hide from your drama, or maybe hide from your baby mama. Aha, just kidding. Y si tú quieres cambiar tu vida, if you wanna change your life, then subscribe. Ching. And by the way, guys, I published a book out on Amazon. It's called Shabbat in Chicago, which is about an audacious single mom who opens her heart and home to five adopted kids while embracing her Latino culture while being Jewish. And today we have a very special guest. I had him bring him back to the show. He is one of the fighters for powerslap, the one and only Cesar. Woo!
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, my
How's
brother?
everything?
I'm glad you're here. You're here, man. Shalom, shalom in the
Yeah,
home.
man. Very shalom.
So look, brother, I want to say real quick, I want to give a shout out real quick to my brother Victor. He made a new flyer for this episode. It's real nice. Y'all gonna love it, and thanks to him, he put the time and energy. But I do want to share something fascinating that happened to me. So around May, my martial arts instructor, Sivu Cardona, who's an Orthodox Jewish brother, teacher. He's half Puerto Rican, half Mexican, and he wrote a beautiful article about me. It's called "A Legacy of Light: How Shabbat Keeps the Jewish Identity Alive." And one quote that I share in the article that's so powerful, I feel like a lot of people will feel connected. Something that I share at the very end, it says, lighting the candles reminds me that I'm continuing something sacred. Even though I live alone, I never feel alone when I strike that match and see the flames dancing. It connects me to my grandmother, to my people, and to something eternal. So it's something I wanted to share because, Shabbat is something that's been passed down to my grandma, my abuelita, my mitanaya, to my mom, and now I'm doing it at home in Vegas. So I just wanted to share the little part. And what about you, brother? I know you read this a while back.
Yeah.
Anything else for you that stood out when you read that?
I mean, honestly, bro. So what stood out to me, man, was So I mean, you grew up in Chicago, which is I've never been, but I'm guessing it's pretty different as far as cultures go. As far as like Miami and Chicago, which is where I'm from. It's all about the U. You see that? So man, we don't get a lot of, at least the school I went to, the school that the kids that I grew up around, I didn't know a lot of Jewish kids. We didn't know. I didn't. They just didn't happen to be around. The culture here is a lot of Hispanics. So I mean, growing up, I barely even knew like any white kids. Any like it's like it's not a normal, like as far as the ratio goes, it's more Latinos than anything else. So like just reading the fact that like people would pick on you and stuff like that because you wore the yarmulke, and that really stood out to me, man. Because I mean, that's nothing that I've ever experienced. Because I mean, we all pretty much Latinos for the most part are pretty much the same religious background. With some tweaks, some little bit differences. So I never got to see that, man. And I when I read that, I really felt for you because I wouldn't. I don't know how I would feel if I would, in school, somebody would bring up something like my religion or something like that, something being wrong with it or being different. Or so I mean, I really felt when I read that, man. And like, man, I wonder how he felt and how he would, go home. And I don't know if he would question things or like what would go through your mind, especially at that age when you're so mentally fragile still, because you're still developing, you're still growing up, you're still like trying to understand this world that we live in and how cruel it can be. And man, that's something that really stood out to me. And just the fact that you were able to meet more Latino kids that are also Jewish. And just I'm like, wow, there's just a bigger world out there that what I know. I mean, and that's what stood out to me, man. Just feeling for you, and like, man, I really wish that no one would have to go through that type of thing, because we're all all make our choices, and we all, believe what we believe, and I feel like that's something that should be respected, especially, you know, in somewhere like a school where you have to go every day. It's like, you can't really escape that type of thing.
Man, brother, I appreciate you sharing that because that was a very vital moment in my life. I had so many fights, being of course being Latino and Jewish, I didn't really fit in. I did feel like my Latino communities didn't understand me, and my Jewish community, I felt kind of like not really embraced. I didn't look
Right.
Jewish enough, if that makes sense. Um, and I feel like I remember one time during a class, it was a math class, and I had this really pretty girl. She was very popular. Everybody loved her, and she was like, the crowd will follow her. And one time she said in front of my teacher, she said, "Hey guys, everybody, um, David's trying to be Jewish. Look at him, that fake Jew." And when she said that, I'm not gonna lie, I felt embarrassed, and the whole crowd was laughing at me. And there was nothing I could say because she was the popular one. There was really nothing I could say. My teacher, Miss Feldman, who happens to be Jewish and Caucasian, she actually stood up for me, and she said, guys, my best friend happens to be Mexican and Jewish, and she's one of the most loving people, just like David. We come in all shapes and forms, and the crowd stayed quiet, and I felt good that she had my back. And I told Miss Feldman, like, if it wasn't for you, I felt like I would have been alone. I felt alone at that moment. And she said, we have to stick together. And it's sad that the world sees only one angle. They only see Jews as being from Europe or from Israel, but they don't really see Jewish people like you or black or Asian. We come, all shapes and forms. And that really meant a lot. So I was like, man, that's much love. Um, I think that, and that's why this platform, right, the podcast, I've already done, I think, over 100 interviews of different Jews all over the world, from Iran, from Panama, from what's it called, Puerto Rico, so many different, and they've all said the same. They said that many of them have gotten discriminated within their community, in the Latino and in the Jewish community. Black and brown, we always feel this. Like, even if I go to a grocery store, I could share one more. I went to a grocery store with my Panamanian brother. He's Latino and Jewish, born and raised, and I had my rabbi, who's a white man, dressed in black and white, very nice suit. And me and him, we were dressed like real casual, jeans and a t-shirt, but we were wearing our yarmulke at this kosher grocery store. And I'm not lying, fam. Everybody was staring at us like we didn't belong here. And it's crazy. I'm looking at it like at my friend. I said, "Yo, isn't that crazy? We're getting these stares, but at the same time, they supposed to remember we're brothers." You know what I'm saying? They don't,
Right.
and it's sad. It's sad. So one thing I want to dive into, brother, which I thought was fascinating when we had a real deep conversation on the phone. You told me something about your grandma, which was amazing. How she would wear the Star of David, right? And she was telling you, yeah, we have some Jewish history. And you were so fascinated by your grandma sharing this with you that you're like, yo, let me go try this ancestry.com and do the DNA test. You did it, and
Yeah.
you found out that you have some Sephardic ancestry in your blood. Please, if you could share a little bit more, I think that was fascinating, brother, about your
Yeah. Yeah.
roots.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, my grandma would always, like, she wore a chain with the Star of David on it. I mean, and to me, I mean, this is when I was younger. But when I would see it, and I would be like, I knew that meant Jewish. I knew that, in my childish brain, I knew that meant that. And I would ask, and she'd just be like, yeah, we have, we are, we're our part of Spain where we come from, our background, generations from before are Jewish, and I'm like, wow. I mean, that always kind of put it in my head, like, what, I wonder what combination of, like, so I have that, like, what other combination? Because then I have my mom's side. So if you look at my parents, my dad is like, on the lighter side complexion, like kind of what my complexion, and but my mom is like, she's a mulata, that Latina, so she's dark. So I'm like, I know that there has to be a weird mix in there. So I was always fascinated, like, what parts of the world, and just where that geography map would take. And like, honestly, I knew there would be some Jewish, but so it came out as like 4% Jewish, and then there's like 20%, 21% Spanish, and the rest is just divided between all different types places in Africa, and just and indigenous Panama. So I was like, wow, like how you can mix, like how we've migrated so much, and like as 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 um as a race, and just like crossed each other, and just like there's a reason why people look the way that they look, and look so different, and all that. So that always fascinated me, man. And but I do want to know. I want to know. I know people with Jewish background get one free trip to Israel. So I want to know if that 4% is enough to give me my free trip to go to. So that's always something that I've always looked into. So the culture itself is just, it's fascinating to me. You know, I, I was recently watching. I don't know if you got in the chance to check out the David series on Amazon, on Prime,
No, no, I
the
haven't
House
yet.
of David.
I haven't. I heard
Oh
it's
man,
good.
I mean, it's good. It's really good. So I mean, there's just things that you don't know, and just things that you go learning. I mean, I'm sure you know a lot more than me about that side, but it's amazing just how everything happened, and how everything broke down, and just pretty much how, like, humans have been the same since the beginning of time. Like, once we get that power, and once we get that, it's so difficult. Like, we, from like what King Saul did, and then after him David, and what he did, and then like Solomon and what he wanted, and it's just that we're all the same. Like, we're the same creatures, and like we're fighting our own desires, and our own like thoughts, and our own wants, going against what God wants for us, because and just the fact that none of us can do it. It's amazing to me, man. It's just that history in itself, man. And I would love to learn more, and just deep dive more into the Torah, and just those stories, because there's so many, and more, some that I don't know about. My wife knows a lot about it, and she tells me stories, and I'm just amazed of just the history of it all, and just how we ended up where we are. And it's amazing, man. It's something that I really, really enjoy talking about, and learning about, and it's the history itself, man. It's amazing. It's just how far we've gone in these thousands of years, and how things have changed, but not really that much. Like, we're still battling the same things even thousands of years later.
So look, I got something to share. This is you're gonna love this. So I actually every Tuesday at my house, we call it Soul Session, and I've invited Bono, Damien Dibble, Robert Trujillo, and Babyface, and they've never learned about the Jewish faith. Like, I know this is very different, very it's cool because the people that are in my little session, a lot of them are Latino or Black Jews, are trying to get more spiritual, and some that are not Jewish, who are Christians or Catholic or atheists, but they want to learn about Judaism because they never heard about it. And it's cool that every Tuesday I have my soul session, and it's nice when I get to share something about our history, our traditions, and I show at the end how we're all connected somehow, whether by prayer, by faith. And I would love for you to come, brother. I know PowerSap is coming back the 27th, so if you're free on Tuesday night, I would love for you to actually witness other Panamanian brothers like you, and other Latino Puerto Ricans, and other Jewish brothers that also have that same desire of learning more of the Torah. And it's cool. I break it down. I share stories and how we can apply it to life. and it'll just be amazing for you to be on. And I always record it because you get to feel part of like a community in a way, you know.
Man, that'd be great, man. I mean, I don't think I'll make it out to this event just because the week after I have my son's birthday, my wife's birthday, so it's when I spend the most money, man. It's when the pockets are a little bit lighter. In the summer, I got those two birthdays bunched up together. But I mean, definitely, if in the future, if I can attend, or if you do any virtual one, I'll be happy to attend. Absolutely.
Awesome, bro. Awesome.
But
Yeah.
I was gonna say, man, it's crazy how you explain that, and how even I didn't even think about that. How the Jewish community just sees you, maybe like as an outsider type thing. And yeah, I didn't even that didn't cross my mind when I was reading the article that even maybe even in the Jewish community, somebody they might look at you and be like, he's kind of like a Gentile, as they would say back in the time, right? Because they would
Yeah.
just see you and know that you're different, and just and I never mixed Judaism with race. I mean, it was always like it's a religion. Religion and race are not the same thing. Like you can convert to be whatever you want. I mean, like this, like whatever it is that you want to follow. I mean, I didn't know that ethnicity or that your background really mattered when talking about religion, and even in Judaism.
Yeah, so with Judaism, what makes it fascinating is that it's also a religion and a race. So
Right.
if your mom is Jewish, you're automatically Jewish. Your kids, no matter if the dad doesn't practice, the kid's Jewish. If both parents converted to Judaism, the child is born Jewish. So it's a really interesting way of looking at it, right? You have Jews that don't
Yeah.
follow Judaism or believe in God, right? You got people that are into the faith, they believe in God. So it's very interesting, two different worlds, right? Like Drake, I have to put Drake. He's Jewish
Right.
by birth, his mom, but does he really practice Judaism? He doesn't.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you got all these big time celebrities in Hollywood that choose money over God. That God is not a priority. They can live without it because they feel that they got where they're at because of their talent. But they forget
Right.
that without God, they could not be where they are. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's like
Exactly. Yeah.
it's a double edged
which
sword.
is what which is what happened which is what happened with Saul, right? He wanted the glory, like even though he was told he was going to go win the war, because and he didn't really have to like worry about it. He can still made it about himself and what he did to win the war, versus that you had you were favored by God. That's the only reason that you were able to get that far. And with everything in life, that's what I tell my wife, like, I thank God every day that we can, that if we can live the way that we do, because it's all him. It's not me. I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just following the plan, and sometimes we veer off, but we gotta ride our way back. That's really the idea of it all. Just remember that all glory to God, man. There's nothing that we're doing on our own. This is all because we are living our purpose, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, brother. And there's a guy I want to share, right? This I mentioned in my book. It's a little homework for you, so the next time I have you on, you'll know everything about him. So in Judaism, when we study the Torah, the Talmud, the Tanakh, which is the Bible in Hebrew,
Right.
we have to learn. We don't read it literally. If you take it literally, you go insane. You're supposed to take it basically like holistically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. There's different ways of seeing it. Now, the two biggest commentators that we actually look at and view to help us understand more of the text and what is it trying to convey, right? Is two guys mostly. There's a lot of different rabbis, but the two big ones that we follow in the Jewish community is Rashi, who's a French rabbi who was a judge, a father of daughters. He had daughters. And a lot of the Ashkenaz or the European Jews, they follow more of what Rashi interprets. Rambam, who you're gonna love, brother. Don't forget the name. Rambam, or
Um,
AKA Maimonides. He is the first Latino or Spanish Jew from Spain to actually be accepted of his writings in the Jewish community. He's big. All his commentaries are in Spanish, Arabic, and Hebrew, which is fascinating. He had good relationships with the Muslims. Rashi had more good relationship with the Christians, the Catholics. So what makes Rambam fascinating is that when he first came up with his own writings, he was basically not accepted in some Jewish circles. He was kicked out because there were different, too different, and it was like a different angle, different perspective. But eventually, through time, through trials and tribulations, he got accepted and embraced in the entire Jewish world and community. His writings still matter today. So I'll give you an example. Let me just give a little taste so you get to see how Rambam and Rashi they think. Now, here's the thing about Judaism. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever fits in your heart that you feel like it makes sense. The story of Genesis, right? We say in Hebrew Bereshit. Rashi believes it's more in that aspect. The story of Adam and Eve is real. That these two were one of the first people in this world. That they ate the forbidden fruit, right? Rambam, on the other hand, he believes that this is more like a parable, not to take literally. The message is we have to take these stories and learn from them and not make the same mistakes. So that's an example. You got two different perspectives. They're not wrong or right. It's whatever you feel that connects to your heart. You feel what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's like a little taste. I give you a little taste. And so in my book, right, Shabbat in Chicago, I had to mention Rambam because he was the only person that really stood up for the Latino, Spanish, Jewish community. There was no one till this day like him that came after. What makes it fascinating is Rambam and Rashi are actually they have the blood of King David, both of them. So possibly they could have been cousins. That's dope. They're the one of the only ones we have found that actually go back to the King dynasty, right? King David. You speaking about the David
Yeah.
movie, the TV show. Here's another thing too with Shabbat in Chicago. Something that I wanted to do for the world and the community. Two books that really fascinated me. That kind of made my brain kind of put this together. One book was called The House of Mango Street. I don't know if you remember that book in high school. It's with Cisnero Sanchez, who basically wrote the book half in English and Spanish. It kind of like Spanglish, in a way that people can feel connected. And I love that. I was like, I've never read a book like that where it kind of shows my history, and you got a little Spanglish, which is a little sabor, you know. And then another book that inspired me was the Color of Water. And that book I highly recommend. It's about a white mom who basically has a lot of kids who are black and white, and the author who wrote it is the son. It's the son's perspective, and he explains how he went to different places and how the Orthodox community would make faces or look at them different because they didn't look Jewish enough. And the mom would step up and defend her kids and say, "Yo, I'm Jewish and these are my kids." You know, You're not going to say nothing bad about them. And I love that. So I took these two books, how they view society, right, the world, that are not really mentioned, uh, you know, I guess our community, and I put it together to the book. And the beauty part about the book, Shabbat in Chicago, is that, and I told you and I thank you, brother, for getting it. It's in
Absolutely.
English, Spanish, Yiddish, and Hebrew, which is fascinating because I never seen a book that has blended all those together in one. I've shared how there was times I was bullied, right? You mentioned I was bullied. I brought it in the book. I talk about how there was a moment where I wasn't counted as part of the congregation to pray. But eventually they accepted me, they embraced me. And the beauty part is that my mom, this is where I'm wrapping it up, but bringing people together. My mom, by her having 100 people for Shabbat, she not only invited Ashkenaz Jews, European Jews, she invited Sephardic Jews, Christians, Muslims, atheists to come and experience a Shabbat like never before. We all got to break bread. We all got to pray together. We all got to share stories that we felt connected, whether it's from the Bible or from life. And I think that's where my mom wanted to show the world that, some people right now, they may think Jewish people are bad, but we're not all bad. But by you inviting them to your house and them to experience your culture, your faith, they won't have nothing to say bad about you. And the same vice versa. So I think my mom, what she did was something remarkable where she found a way to bring people together as one. And that's what I'm trying to do is show the world that we are connected. We all can bring peace and love. So yeah, I wanted to share that. Any thoughts from you, brother?
No, absolutely, man. I mean, that's the way that's the way I feel about it too. I mean, the whole grouping people together, like, oh, all Jewish people are bad, all Muslims are bad, all whatever. It's such a easy cop out type thing that it's like, I mean, if you don't get to know somebody, like, how could you even know that? Like, how could you even, you know, make that assumption? Because just like I'm sure there's Jewish people who give you the shirt off their back, same as Catholic Christian people. But then there's some that are just downright jerks, man. There's just, that's it. It is what it is. That's the truth of it. And there's people sitting in temple that are bad. There's people sitting in mass that are bad, but you can't group everybody together because that just kind of you know it it paints just a whole group of people in a way that you don't even like. How can you even make that judgment? That's I've never been in agreement with that, and I'm glad that your mom was the way that she is, that was able to bring groups of people together just to enjoy the word, enjoy whatever, enjoy people's company just in general, and have the spirit of God there, just to just have everybody together how we should be. We're supposed to love each other all the time, and just all this hatred in the world and all this stuff. It's just like just like the whole stuff going on now, that with the war over there and the thing, like there's no side, man. There's no right, wrong. There's like there's people that are going through hard times, and I wish everybody could just be there for those people, man. It's And just stop picking the sides and stop grouping people together. And it's just, I mean, you think in the year 2025 we'd be past that, but I mean we still have some work to do apparently.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I think that's why this is the moment where we have to bring the light to the other nations, right? We have to, whenever you can, same with me. Like if I meet someone I never met, I try to bring God in the conversation somehow, because people are so drawn into temptation, infidelity, into power. We forget ourselves. We forget that God is the key. God is the power. When I was running today, I went running. I went for a good run, and I love walking back home. When I walk home, it's the moment I really pray to God, and I have no distraction. I'm just focused, and I keep telling God, like, God, you know, I want to honor you. I want to follow you. Yeah, I make mistakes, but I wanna, I wanna grow. I wanna get more closer to you, because I'm not perfect. We're not perfect, and I know, like, one thing I've been doing right. I know you're a married person, and I one day want to get married soon. But one of my biggest dreams is to still have my Tuesday night soul session where we talk about God. But I want Wednesdays to be where my wife is leading a class for women and talking about the Word, Torah, God, in the session, where she has her own girls' night out. That's her girls' night out, and I want her to do that too. And on Shabbat, on Friday night, I want to be able for her and I to, like, make dinner together, invite people that have never experienced this ritual, this beautiful commandment. And the beautiful part, when we have kids, you're gonna love this, is that I'm gonna read a page or a chapter of my book every Shabbat. So by the end of the year, we finish the whole book. But my kids will learn this foundation and see how great their grandma was, and be like, "Damn, I wish I could have met grandma." You see what I'm saying? Like, this will lead on
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the next generation. That's how I look at it, brother.
Hey man, if that's what you want, man. Hopefully God blesses you with that situation, brother. I mean, trust me, when you find the right woman, and it's the one that God made for you, that's you're just it's a different feeling, and it's just a different. And she's gonna want to do these things. That you're not gonna have to convince. That's the best part, brother. That's just everything mutual, and just everything you know you know you res- she respecting what you say. You respecting what she says, and just working everything as a team. It's a team thing. That's what people don't get sometimes when they get married. It's a team effort, brother. Like, it's not a one-way street. So just hopefully to remember that whenever you do, going to walk that altar, and just know that it's all uphill from there. As long as it's the right one, you make sure your life gets a lot easier, brother. Believe me.
I love it, brother. Amen, amen, brother. It looks like Zoom about to kick me out. So look, real quick, guys. This is the Outlet to Reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Ching! Y'all know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the Outlet to Reality. My Snapchat's Take My Pass It. My TikTok is at Yaakov28. And brother Cesar, where can my fans find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at the Cesar G underscore. Post a lot of family stuff. So if you're interested in that, there it is.